Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation. This is your daily news update from the channel, bringing you the latest information, latest news, the latest updates from the most successful team in football, Glasgow Rangers. Guys, I hope you caught the podcast last night from with myself and Victoria discussing the Old Firm game, discussing the Ross Wilson departure, discussing the players leaving in the summer, the massive summer for Rangers, discussing all host of information to do with Rangers. Please go back and check out that podcast. Remember, guys, if you don't want to miss any future content, if you don't want to miss any daily content, there is only one way to make sure you do not miss out, and that is to hit the sub, ring the notification, set it to all, and obviously as well, give this video a like, guys. It really does help matters. You can also find us on Twitter at GRN1872. You can find us on Instagram, Glasgow Rangers Nation. You can find us on Facebook, Glasgow Rangers Nation Official. That's our group. You can find us on you can email us, glasgowrangersnation@gmail.com. You can buy the pod of coffee at www.buymeacoffee.com/UK Penguins Tea. Funny story about that email. More maybe one day. Anyway, let's talk about a number of different stories to do with Glasgow Rangers that are currently on the rise. First of all, let's talk obviously about the departure of Ross Wilson. It's certainly been a tumultuous few days, weeks for Glasgow Rangers, with the departure obviously of Chairman Douglas Park, now the departure of sporting director or director of football, whatever it is you wish to term him as, Ross Wilson to Nottingham Forest. Michael Beale has been speaking about the departure of Ross Wilson, saying that he has lost one of his closest allies. Obviously, it seemed that Beale and Wilson had built up a very positive relationship in Beale's short time at the club, and that he was obviously looking to Wilson to negotiate and bring in the players that he had identified for Rangers this summer. As he said in the press conference pre that Dundee game, he talked about the fact that he identified 5 names and had already passed those to Ross Wilson. So whoever Wilson's successor is will need to obviously straight away hit the ground running and continue negotiations or start negotiations with those 5 players that Michael Beale had identified. So interesting information indeed to hear Beale calling Ross Wilson one of his closest allies. Very interesting indeed. Obviously, it remains to be seen who Rangers bring in to replace Wilson, and quite how Beale will get on with and develop a relationship with the new sporting director. Okay, so let's move on to our next piece of news. This time we're going to talk about Rangers player Janice Hagi. Yes, that's right, Janice Hagi's son of world famous Romanian star Georgi Hagi. Now, obviously, Janice Hagi is someone who, since his time at Rangers, has had varied success. Obviously, he's missed a lot of time recently with injury and has taken time to come back from that injury. Hagi's still only 24 years old. Remember, he signed for Rangers in 2020 from Genk in Belgium. And in that time, obviously, he has won a Scottish Premiership. He was part of the 55 winning title squad. Was the Europa League runner-up. But in terms of that title-winning season, he was one of the fundamental parts of that title-winning season. So, a quality player. Now, others have mentioned him as a potential candidate to replace Ryan Kent. Kent, obviously, who is seemingly badly out of form and really struggling at this moment in time, could well be replaced by Hagi. That is certainly some of the talk. However, that could obviously be called into question by the latest transfer rumour. Now, there is a rumor going round that Borussia Mönchengladbach of Germany's Bundesliga are reportedly interested in taking Janice Hagi to Germany. The Bundesliga club have lost a number of players. It has been confirmed will lose a number of players at this season's end, and see Janice Hagi as a ready-made replacement for at least one of them. Marcus Thuram and Rami Benson Biani will leave when their contracts expire on July the 1st and will become free agents. But not only that, But Borussia Mönchengladbach stalwart Lars Stindl today announced that he would leave as well. He scored 80 goals in his time for the club, playing 250 games, and has been the captain. Now, it has emerged that Mönchengladbach could well see Hagi as being the replacement for Lars Stindl. Stindl, who spoke to the media and was very emotional about the fact that he was leaving, but felt this was the right time to do so. Mönchengladbach have straight away obviously returned their attention to bringing in players to cover any departures, and obviously the departure of Stindl is a big one for the club, and they've identified Hagi as a potential replacement. Now, could Rangers be interested in selling Hagi in this summer transfer window to raise some money? That is certainly a possibility. But I think, with the fact that if Ryan Kent really is leaving, do you sell Hagi, who can come in and play in Kent's position? I think that would be highly doubtful. Personally, I'd like to see Hagi stay. I'd like to see him give an opportunity to get back to the heights of that 55 season where he was very effective indeed. So yeah, for me, I say keep Hagi. I say give him an opportunity to play, give him a chance to play, and give him an opportunity to do well. Okay, so that's so far we've talked about a couple bits of news. News also that Connor Goldson will be out of this weekend's game against St Mirren with that hip flexor injury. However, he will be eligible to return apparently for the semi-final against Celtic, which is good, positive news. This would obviously give Rangers a selection dilemma. At the moment, Davis and Suter currently inhabit the spots of the two central defenders. So if they could bring in someone like bring back Connor Goldson, pairing Goldson with Suter or with Davis would certainly help going into that semi-final, where we will need all the experience and all the quality we have at our disposal to continue to obviously challenge Celtic and stop Celtic from getting that treble that they so fantasize about. In other news, Craig McPherson, who is the assistant manager of Rangers women's team, has been banned for 6 games for that headbutt on Fran Alonso, the Celtic women's manager. Now, Alonso accepted the disciplinary hearing today. Alonso accepted the apology from McPherson. However, the Scottish FA decided that they would have to take action against McPherson for his conduct and banned him for 6 games. As to what now he's been found guilty by the SFA, whether or not Rangers will take further action and relieve him of his post is not yet known, or suspend him or take money from him. Obviously, all of these are on the table at this moment in time. But certainly, it seems interesting, doesn't it, that that McPherson has obviously now been found guilty by the SFA and has obviously had this ruling against him. And certainly, slowing it down, it does look slightly, more than slightly, like a headbutt, and a very stupid thing to do by Craig McPherson. I guess it happened in the heat of the moment, although we don't know what was said to him before that. Obviously, the microphones did not pick up any sound. But McPherson is banned for 6 games in total, which will be a loss to Rangers. Now, last summer, Ross Wilson managed to sell Calvin Bassey and Joe Aribo for a large amount of money. Now, the question now emerges is, where has this money gone to? What has happened to it? Now, it appears that a lot of this money has already gone. That all the money that from the Aribo, Patterson, and Bassey transfers has already gone for Rangers. This is obviously because of the fact that money has been spent on a new Edmundston house, which was purported to come in at a bill of between 5 and 6 million. It is now costing 12 million. So obviously, with that extra 6 million needs to be found from somewhere. There's also been moves in the January transfer window, as well as other structural redevelopments around the club, meaning apparently that the money from Bassey and Aribo is no longer there, which will obviously frustrate Rangers fans who were expecting that money to be ring-fenced and used for player acquisition this summer. Now, obviously, I think a lot of fans would say, well, that's a lot of money to pay for a building in New Edmundston House, but the fact that that building should turn over a minimum of £1 million profit per year is, I think, a positive. And it's often been said you can't go wrong by by investing in infrastructure, which is something that Rangers seemingly have done, even though the money has seemingly gone for Bassey and Aribo. Now, obviously, that's something that is of great concern to Rangers fans. Rangers fans want to see a situation where, you know, Rangers are able to compete, Rangers are able to sign top players. Can they do that this summer? That is a question that has certainly been asked. Now, Michael Beale did come out and say that he has more money than any other Rangers coach in recent history. So has he got the money to really go out there and push the boat out? Has he got the money to really go and attract those players? That is the key question coming out of this story. Well, that's the latest news as we have it at this moment in time. Remember the podcast tonight with myself and Mark, aka Curry Muncher from the Gallant Few, talking over different Rangers issues, and obviously looking forward to the game on Saturday against St Mirren, which will be live streamed here on Glasgow Rangers Nation. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm back to speak to you really, really soon here on the channel, so please hit that sub, ring that notification bell, and give this video a like.